as boxing fans, we become very accustomed to not getting what we want. It's like every year Christmas shows up and then it passes us and we don't get anything. It's like every year we're hoping, man. It's just these great gifts are coming out, man. There's new shoes, there's a new PlayStation coming out, there's some new Xbox, there's a new car, there's whatever it may be, man. Whatever it is that you get excited about, there's a brand new one. It's shiny, it's in the package, it's calling your name every single year. And for the vast majority of years, man, it's like it's on a conveyor belt and it just passes you by, right? That's how we feel. We see these fights that we want, these fights that are going to be amazing. Do I need to remind everybody about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford and how that just fell through for us, right? It was like it was right here. We were holding it. It was like a brand new baby. And then all of a sudden it just deteriorated, just disintegrated and slipped right through our hands. And now we're getting Crawford versus Adavassian on the 10th, December 10th. Who's Errol Spence's? Anyways, man, my point being, we've become used to being disappointed to the fact that we really don't even get that disappointed anymore. Man, how sad is that? But every now and then, we get that little beam of sunlight shining through the clouds. Every now and then, we get exactly what it was that we wanted. It appears that there's real bad blood between Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. This is a fight that they were saying they wanted. This is a fight that the fans obviously want. This is a fight that the division wants. This is a fight that history wants, that legacy wants. This is a fight that, for all reasons, we need to make it happen. We just saw Caleb Plant, a guy who's criticized for his power, a guy who's criticized for his style in the ring. I mean, a lot of guys call it running. I don't. We'll say his footwork. We'll say the way he bounces around. We'll say that people criticize him for not being aggressive enough or a lack of action in his fights. Maybe, I don't know. However you want to phrase it, right? I think you guys know what I'm getting at. This is one of the things that he's criticized for. Going into that fight with Canelo, then we saw how he handled that one. Ends up getting stopped. Comes out big time against Darrell. But he's working with this new trainer in this fight with Darrell, and we saw him tweak a lot of things, man. We saw him come out and do something new. We saw him come out and land a left hook, man, that just absolutely flatlined Darrell. I mean, look, I don't think I'm stepping out of bounds by saying that it humbled him. If you went and you saw the clip, the short, however you want to phrase it, that Anthony Darrell put on Instagram after that fight, he looked like a man who was humbled. He came into that fight talking crazy. He came into that fight with huge expectations for himself. He came into that fight believing that he was going to win, and he was in shape, and he looked good. Looked like he had a good game plan. He looked like he was crisp with a lot of his punches. And he was like, I didn't even see it coming. I didn't even see it. My hats off to Caleb Plant, man. What a punch. And it's the ones you don't see that hurt you, but it's how you set that up so that the guy can't see it. So anyways, what we saw was huge improvement from Caleb Plant after working for only one fight with his new trainer. We thought that we were going to get David Benavidez versus Uzcategui. That fight, man, people just pushed back on it apparently, right? So then it gets canceled, and the rumor coming out is that the reason it got canceled is because of the pushback from the fans. They probably thought that was going to translate into lack of ticket sales, lack of viewers, lack of, sponsors or ads or whatever it may be. It was going to generate to a lack of revenue. If the fans are pushing back, if the fans say they don't want it, what are we doing it for? Man, get it out of here. And then then almost immediately we hear about the next development. And that's that we're going to get this fight early. This fight that was supposed to be happening, supposedly, allegedly, the one that was going to be talked about after Benavidez ran through his opponent. Caleb Plant comes off this win. David Benvidez gets his win. Then we're going to see these two meet in summer of 2023, something along those lines. Looks like we may be getting it early now. The rumor is that basically all of the details are ironed out. It's going to be happening in early 2023, and we're going to have an absolute blockbuster at 168 pounds, man. David Benavidez has been calling out everybody you can imagine. There's a lot of people out there who say that this young man is the best in the division. It's not that he needs to step his game up. It's not that his skills are lacking. It's not that he's deficient in any department. The only problem that he's had is that people haven't given him his chance. He's the boogeyman. He's a monster out there. Nobody wants to fight him. He's in this classic, horrible scenario of being a great fighter who does not have a great fan base behind him. Therefore, he's a very unattractive fight for most people. Why do I want to fight a guy who's not bringing a whole bunch of money, but he's a huge risk? Think about Boots Ennis, down at 147 pounds. Kind of in a similar scenario, right? That young dude is a beast. Nobody wants to get in the ring with him. He's not selling any pay-per-views, right? So this is this situation. But now we're getting Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez, man, and this is going to be a great fight. Because look, David Benavidez is strong, big for the division, super high work rate, very fast hands, throws great in combination. His defense isn't great, but his defense sets up his offense. He loves to be in position to throw punches. And the way that he works his defense keeps him in position to throw them shots, right? I would say that his footwork isn't awesome. Like, he gets off balance at times. He gets a little bit out of position. Sometimes he'll crowd his work a little bit too much. Sometimes he's a little bit too far out, right? Like, just little things. He's relatively young, though, right? But he's really worried about getting his offense off. That's what he wants to do. He wants to go in there, man. He's beating guys up, and he's talking to them while he's doing it. You go back and you watch some of these fights, there's some guys in there that he fought that didn't have big names, man. They weren't really known by people. But when you're watching the fight, particularly early on, first round, second round, those dudes are fighting hard. They're crisp. They're executing on good fundamentals. Benavidez breaks them all down, man. He breaks them all down. The dude is a beast. He breaks guys down physically and mentally. They don't want to be in there with him anymore. Right? That's what he brings to the table. He's never fought anybody like Caleb Plant. He's never fought anybody who's got the type of footwork that Caleb Plant has. Caleb Plant's going to be able to change the distance all the time. He's going to be able to work angles. David Benvidez, his father, came out and said that one of the things that Caleb Plant demanded for this fight was a 22-foot ring. That's huge. It's like, what are you going to track me to 22-foot ring? Man, it's massive. That's the type of thing. It's like, we'll reserve that for heavyweights because those guys are so big. But he wants it to be able to utilize the footwork. He wants it because David Benvidez isn't great at cutting the ring off. He's great at being aggressive. He's great at being on that front foot. He's great at working behind that jab and keeping distance, but he can also be inside and be deadly. He can lead. He can counter. His offense is awesome, but he's not great at counting the ring off. So if you've got a guy who's got faster feet, the thought is that you'll be able to get him turning. The thought is you'll be able to get him in circles and you'll be able to get him following you. You'll be able to walk him into your shots. Look, we've seen David Benavidez get caught with a lot of punches. Clean shots, hard shots. Never seen him hurt. The guy's got a chin. Not saying that Caleb Plant's going to be able to go in there and hurt him, but I do believe that Caleb Plant will be able to go in there and catch him. And I do believe that David Benavidez is going to be able to counter him. He's got good timing and he's got a very high work rate. So even though he may be a little bit slower than Plant, even though he may be following him more often than not and not cutting off the ring great, he's going to be able to in there and get his work in, man. He's going to be able to back him up, get him in the corner at times, get his back against the rope and do work. Like, dude, this is an awesome fight for a lot of reasons. Caleb Plant looked more muscular and better from a strength and conditioning standpoint in this last fight than he ever has before, so he's bringing that aspect to the table. Like, this should be an awesome fight. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to end, man. I'll be perfectly honest with you. As we get closer to it, I mean, the date hasn't even been announced, but as it gets closer, I'll start to break down the film, start to think about this and that, but both of these guys got jabs. Both of them know how to fight well. There's real, true bad blood. Neither man is willing to accept a loss and see the step. Caleb Plant has been at that top position where he fought Canelo and got that payday. He wants to get back, knows he needs those wins. David Benavidez has been calling for the big fights forever, so he knows exactly what's going to happen should he get his opportunity and get a loss. It's like the stakes couldn't be higher, and both of these men realize it. So I'm super excited for this one. I'm glad that they were able to figure it out. I'm glad that they were able to come to the table. Now look, the perennial hater, Oscar De La Hoya, has come out and said that I'll believe it when I see it. If the paperwork isn't there, if the date hasn't been announced, if we don't know when and where the fight's going to take place, this is an Al Heyman fighter. Al Heyman is known for shenanigans. I'll believe it when I see it. But I'm going to hold out hope. And I'm going to say that it's legit. I'm going to say that we're actually going to see this fight. It's going to be in the first quarter of 2023. Let me know what you guys think. Are you as excited about it as I am? And how do you think it's going to play out?